Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday to everyone. Although, gosh, this seems like this is like the first 5-day week. I guess last week we worked 5 days as well, but I don't know. For some reason, this 5-day week seemed to hit a little bit harder. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for showing up, Mr. Big Woolly, Red Fox Crypto, Crypto Shaped, Baldini, MC Integra Guy. I like that name. MC Mastermind Crypto, thank you very much for coming. Yeah, Sunflower Mama, I appreciate you being here as well. Anyway, Mike the Miner, Atomic Star, thank you for showing up. I think I hit most people. Box Fan, thank you for being here. K-Spec, you as well. Swinny, Nasities, I think that, and Richard Borgia. Thank you very much all for coming. So tonight I plan on going over some issues with the rack and MNTD miners, something that has come up, and there is a pretty simple fix. And also going to be going over my plans for after the merge. Although they aren't like super definitive, it's kind of a wait and see approach a little bit, but with some boundaries, I guess. And then which crypto is up 40% and why? And actually, let me see if I can create a poll to see if anybody knows. Yes, I can. Hold on a second. Which crypto is up 40%? Let's see. It's up 40% in the last 7 days. And let me put in some option. All right. And no looking up. No researching. Use what you think it is. So one of them is obviously not the right answer. I would think people would know that one, but curious to see what everybody answers. So I'll let that run. Yeah, it's actually a pretty nice keyboard. It's a Razer Black Widow. So definitely enjoy that keyboard. Although my wife has a really nice EVGA keyboard that I like as well. So, and hers is a lot less expensive, that's for sure. Anyway, alrighty, so we'll be talking about that, as well as just a discussion about what are you mining, what am I mining, what is everybody else mining, and then an AMA after that. So let's get started. So the first thing, in fact, I'm going to try to actually remember to change my scenes tonight so that I can actually talk to the things that we're discussing. So Hobbyist Miner actually made me aware of this. But the rack miners have had some issues. The rack V2s, the rack V1.5s, as well as all the MNTD miners. So basically anything that was shipped in 2021 or later has the possibility of having problems. And these are the types of problems that they will have, is that basically the fix is replace your SD card, your micro SD card. And these are the type of problems you may see. It shows a disk error in the diagnostics. It is not booting up or cannot connect to Bluetooth anymore after pressing the pairing button. Shows a solid or flashing green status LED. Shows a very old block height or firmware version in the diagnostics. And if it is stuck in the same block after 2 diagnostics done 24 hours apart. I've experienced this last one. And what they don't talk about here is that your miner can actually get out of sync. So let me bring up a picture of my results from the past month. And you'll be able to see these 2 gaps in here. These 2 little gaps. I thought were gaps because I had reasserted my location, but it didn't really make sense because it didn't really align with this last outage, while the first one pretty much aligned almost perfectly. But I think that was mainly coincidence, that these were the main problems. Why the main problem was that SD card issue. And what the main issue is that there's 2 things. One is the blockchain is getting really, really big, and it still should fit in the 32 gig card, but it's getting close. And when things get, when you're starting to kind of push for space, bad things can happen. And in this case, they're saying that they're getting some overflows on some of their files. And what ends up happening is the unit goes back into resync when this type of problem happens. And so a lot of rack owners and MNTD owners have been seeing this problem. So what you can do to alleviate that problem is to replace your SD card. And that's what I'm going to show you what you need to do to set up your micro SD card to boot up into your system. Actually had talked with Hobbyist and also had talked with Chum Change, who have both done this change. And this process works very, very well. They did not have any problems with it. Now, there have been some people that have reported problems with it. So your mileage may vary. So, Gabriel Campa, you have the same gap. Well, yeah, that's probably due to this same issue, that the larger SD card, because they're suggesting to go from a 32 gig to a 64 gig card. And thank you very much, 56, for the $5 ramen noodles. I appreciate that very much. Very kind of you. So they suggest, because that'll give you more breathing room in the storage. So it really shouldn't have to be done, but they said because of some of the bugs they have and such. Now, what's really interesting, and I talked to Hobbyist about this, was they came out and said they view the SD card as a wear item. So basically getting themselves out of any warranty claim. I'm not complaining about it. It's a simple $16 fix, but I did find it very interesting that they felt the need to go out of their own way to say, hey, we're not going to do anything about it because it's a wear item. So take that for what it's worth. But I found that a very interesting point that they have made. So it actually says here, actually in the middle here, right here, it says the card is considered a consumable wearing user replaceable part. So again, an interesting comment. So anyway, well, let's get started before I even open up the SD card package. We are going to download the firmware. Shouldn't take too long. Wow, that's a bigger file than I thought, 401 megabytes. All right, well, while I'm waiting for that, I am going to bring Balena Etcher to the front while this is going. Wow, that's going to take 7-8 minutes. Wow. All right, well, let me, it'll probably take me that long to get this stupid bubble pack open. So let me switch scenes. I think it's this one. Yeah. So this is the one I got. They suggest in the description to get a high endurance version. So I got the Pro Endurance. This was $16 at Amazon. So I actually was able to get it same day. I ordered it. It's funny because I was talking about this with Baldini, and I believe Big Wooly was also, we were talking about getting this. No, maybe not. I know, but definitely Baldini I was talking to about it. And we were ordering it. And I was like, why isn't this available like same day? It was bugging me. So the next day I actually needed to order some other things that my wife had brought up. And I said, you know what, let me check. And sure enough, I went in there and now it was available same day. So I ordered this and canceled the other one. And I ordered this at 10:30. And before 1 o'clock, I had my delivery. That's the fastest I've ever gotten anything from Amazon. It was pretty amazing. But anyway, let me open this up, cut along the lines per their directions. Let's see if we can get this out of here easily. Wow. All right. When in doubt, just rip. Ugh. Or I could always go back to using the scissors. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Not quite enough room to get it out. Let's see if I can get it out now. All right, that's better. That's what I wanted to do. All righty. There's a little SD card. I actually have a micro. Oh, it does not like to focus on that. Maybe this will focus better. Or not. It's focused there, but it's pretty small. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that now. But anyway, I do have a SD card reader that has a micro SD card. So while I'm waiting for this to still finish, which has 5 minutes left, let me put this in. Be right back. That is the right way. Now let me make sure. Yep, it came up. USB drive E. Perfect. Alrighty, well, while I'm waiting for that 4 minutes, yeah, so I know that, is chump change here by any chance? Or did he blow me off? He blew me off. Gee whiz. Anyway, I was asking him like what his sync was to get an idea of how long it was going to take him to resync. And it seemed like it was going to be somewhere on the order of like 27 hours is what it seemed like. based on the first two measurements. It came first was at 99.45% synced. And then he looked at it 2 hours later and it was 99.51. So I did some math and it looked like about 27 hours is how long it was going to take. So we shall see, as far as how long it will take him to resync. So what I'm doing is I'm just basically getting this ready for the next time that mine gets out of sync. I figure mine's working fine right now. Why would I want to, stop it from working just so I could take it down for a couple of days? So I'm going to leave it running until it has a problem. That's generally what I would suggest to a lot of other people, and other YouTubers are basically saying the same thing. Mine's running fine. I'm going to let it go until it's not. So, especially considering it's going to be a while, 1 to 2 days that you're going to be down as it resyncs. One of the other things I did learn about the rack and MNTD, for those people that have Bobcats, they talk about, oh man, Bobcats are great. They have this fast sync feature. And what that fast sync feature is that there's a snapshot that gets downloaded. So basically, a huge portion of the blockchain is already downloaded, and then to sync is just a small little step above that. Well, Rack has that as well, but from what I can tell, they don't update it as often. So, you're at 99.45 when you start. And I think when Hobbyist started, I think he was at 99.41. So, in that range, but it'd be nice if they would update the snapshot a lot more often so that you can be a lot closer to being fully synced when you actually go through this process. So hopefully they'll make some changes, but we shall see. All right. Well, while I'm waiting for that to finish, let me see if there were any questions. Hello, Yankee. Thank you very much for showing up. Thanks, Brian Hollywood, for being here. Sorry if I missed anybody. I'm just kind of scanning. And I do not have a link yet to that SD card. I will put that in the link later. Just kind of funny because this guy Chupacabra, that's what he has in his name. I forget what his specific channel was, but I watched his video to figure out like a little bit of the background around this and how he did it and what his plans were. And it was educational. And he talked about the SD card that he was using, and he said he'd put a link in the description, and he didn't. So I reminded him in a comment, and he thanked me for it. But anyway, alrighty, let me see anything else. If you have questions, please tag me. MC, off topic, I reasserted location on one miner per one of your vids, went from 0.52 back to 1.0 transmit scale. Excellent. Glad it helped somebody. Appreciate that, MC, for letting me know that. That makes my day. It really does. I was really hoping that that would help a few people out there. So it's really a pretty simple process, but it's kind of a not super well known, but there's certainly enough videos out there that they shouldn't be too hard to find. Alrighty. And can't you copy one micro SD to the other and reduce the time? That's a pretty interesting idea. That's a very interesting idea. I mean, that's the same thing I do on my Hive OS. When I, use my micro SD to burn my hard drive. Only thing I'm wondering is if there's an issue. I'm intrigued by that. The only thing I'm thinking of is that somehow, when you burn a new image and you're burning one image to the other because you want to use the exact same image, as opposed to you're basically moving a zip file over, which then will somehow, and this is the part I don't really understand, but somehow it should expand and be able to use all 64 gig. I'm wondering if you copy one micro SD to the other, you would only be copying the 32 gig image and not really be taking advantage of the additional space. That's the only thing I'm thinking of at this point. All right, well, the file is done. So let me say flash from file. Now this should be in. That's it, right? Yep, that is the file. Open, select target, and that would be the one. Select and flash. Yes. Decompressing, flashing. So I think my only thought is that this will allow it to use the entire space, while if you flashed the image that was only a 32 gig image, it might not be able to use that extra space unless you like somehow went in and somehow expanded that partition possibly. I don't know. I am about following instructions and something like this, but hey, anybody want to do an experiment on that? I would love to see that video. Oh, yeah. No swearing, please. But Swinny, sorry about that. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, so the flash is complete. Sorry you missed all that. So yes, I used Balena Etcher. It went through a process of expanding the zip file, then flashing it. That's pretty much as simple as that. It's very similar to flashing Hive OS. No difference. And let me cancel that. Yeah, because it's doing that. Same thing I've seen before. There we go. Alrighty. So that is done. So before I do anything else, let me take that out of the machine. Where are you? There we go. Not wireless. Interesting. It's almost like it's already ejected because I don't want to take out my Wi-Fi. That would be bad. That would be the end of the stream. That would be just like my streams. Anyway, all right, we'll just leave that for now. So anyway, that's the process. Then you basically take that SD card and remove your other one, which they do show in a couple of different videos. There's actually a video in this description that shows where that piece of tape is. Now that piece of tape is very, very stiff. It's not like a regular piece of tape that is very easy to bend. It's Chump Change called it like metallic tape. Like I said, it's extremely stiff. So it will take a bit of effort to get that done. So good question, actually. Should you get a 64 gig card if I'm getting my Helium Miner soon? If you are getting an MNTD miner, they have said that the new ones are supposed to have a 64 gig card. So I would say I would wait to see what it is. I would actually open it up, take that card out, see if it's a 64 gig card. I'm not sure, I don't even know. It might show it in the diagnostic, but I don't remember seeing how big the SD card was in the diagnostic. So, but that's a good question. Very good question. Yeah, I know. I was showing the desk instead of Balena app. So yeah, Big Willie, you've seen my streams before. That should be no surprise. Anyway, alrighty. One of these days I'll remember how to change the scenes when I'm changing what I'm talking about. All right. Oh, Etcher, the bane of my existence. Very funny. Great. My daughter's betting me. Knock out the Wi-Fi. Bet. Do it. Anyway. All righty. On to the next subject. Hopefully that helps somebody out there. And now you know how to start the process of getting your rack miner online and online reliably. And my only suggestion is wait until the next time you lose sync with the network before making the change. Like I said, no reason to fix something if it ain't broke at that point. So, all right. The other topic I wanted to talk about, and this one I'll go back to the original scene, was what are my plans around the merge? Yeah. That is a very complicated subject because there's so many variables. What is the price of overall crypto going to be at that point? How many people are going to sell their GPUs out of the market in preparation? We will actually finally find out how many ASICs are on the network. There's a lot of variables. What I will say is everything points to there being a period where it's going to be unprofitable. If everybody continues mining that it's GPU mining after the merge, it's going to be way unprofitable. It won't even be close. The only way that it is profitable or break even at that point, like there's no profit. It's just, it is what it is at that point. If I remember correctly, and this was numbers that were a little ways back, but this is when, Ethereum was about 94% of the effective hash rate. So to try to distribute that amongst all the other coins, it was like 55% of the Ethereum hash rate would have to fall off the network. Do we really think 55% is going to fall off the network? I mean, how much do we really think is, our ASICs? I'm betting probably 10 to 15%. Other people think that's an extremely low number. I just remember last year at this time, there was a lot of discussion around proving out how much the Ethereum network hash rate was based on ASICs. And Ogata Girl, along with a few other people, worked with the All Core Devs group, and they came up with a number that was actually less than 10%. And they have a way of determining, and I don't remember, I wish I remembered all the details. And unfortunately, a lot of the details were in the 1559 group that was accidentally deleted from the ETH R&D group or ETH channel. So unfortunately, I can't go back and reference that, but that was my remembrance of it. I remember the number was much lower than even they thought it was going to be. People that were in the know thought it would even be a little bit more than that. They weren't anywhere near the 20 to 30% that a lot of people think it is. But yeah, it'll be interesting. We will find out. We will find out very, very quickly, how much in the way of ASICs is the overall hash rate. So the other thing is that how quickly will people that have higher power rates, how quickly, or very inefficient cards, how quickly will they fall off the network? Because they're going to be the first ones that are going to be unprofitable. So I can definitely tell you that my focus is to keep GPUs. And when I say GPUs, I mean graphics cards that can be used for other purposes, not an A2000, not an A4000, not an A5000. I know those do have other purposes, but not mainstream purposes, not gaming purposes that are much easier to resell. So I'm focused on gaming cards, in having good gaming cards. So if I have the opportunity, say, to buy at a Best Buy drop, an NVIDIA FE model, I will buy one of those at that price. I mean, that's still a killer deal compared to everything else. And then look to sell some other cards that are less efficient. So anyway, so that's basically what my initial plans are. And then I'm just taking a wait and see where the price of crypto goes. I mean, if crypto goes, drops, let's say we head into a bear market. If we head into a bear market, it won't matter what Ethereum does. We'll be unprofitable before or close to unprofitable before the merge, and which would be pretty interesting, because man, after the merge, wow, things would be really, really interesting after that. Now, I don't necessarily think that we're gonna see this, bear market necessarily. But what are coins like Flux and Ravencoin and Ergo and Firo and a number of other ones that are starting to kind of, I feel like we have more coins to mine that are competitive right now than we've had in quite a long time. So, and that's a good thing. That's what gives me hope that there could be at least a little bit of profit. I started in 2019. 2019, we were happy to get 10 cents a day off of a 1660 Ti. That was like, wow, we're making 10 cents a day. So for those of us that got into the market during the bear market, we got into it, at least I did. I got into it just out of curiosity and wanting to see what this all was about and that type of thing. It wasn't about making money. It was about doing something that we could learn and understand and support. And I'm really obviously glad that me and my daughter did get involved in it. So it's been quite the ride, that's for sure. So yeah, we can all predict as to what's going to happen and what I'm going to do. All I can tell you is that I'm prepared for the worst, and making preparations for the worst. And this summer, I may just literally shut off all my GPUs. If it's unprofitable, I'll shut off my GPUs, take the money that I was spending on power and take some of that and invest instead of actually, going negative to make some crypto off of mining. Let the hash rate come down to a profitable level, at least somewhat profitable level. And obviously mining in the summer doesn't give you the benefit of actually energy savings from heating your house. So yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts at this point. My point to everybody is think about it. Think about the possibilities. What will you do given different possibilities? Plan for every eventual outcome. If there's a bear market, what are you going to do? If the merge comes in and everything's unprofitable, what are you going to do? So you don't stress out about it or anything like that. You just have a plan and you execute it. Simple as that. I have been thinking about that for quite a while, but I can't remember. There's a video of a guy that, it was Max Maher, actually Chump Change told me about him. And I heard him say that this past week. And I was like, exactly. Don't let your emotions get involved. Execute the plan that you have put into place and thought about before the event happens. And that way, hey, if obviously it's a pretty easy thing. If it stays profitable, well, then you just stay mining. And that's a pretty easy thing to do. So overall, preparing for the merge, get as efficient as you can, get as low cost power as you can. That's as simple as it gets to be able to continue mining. Otherwise, look to see what you're going to do if you're going to be unprofitable. If you know you're going to be unprofitable because you live in California and your cost of electricity is like super high, then you have different things to think about than I do. My cost of electricity right now, last month, was 9.4 cents. And I don't mean that as in my supply. I mean that supply, distribution, and taxes all in. It's 9.4 cents. So definitely below average. So that's what gives me a little bit of hope that as people fall off the network because they're not profitable, I'll still be able to mine. I'm thinking probably come September or October is what I'm thinking might happen, but we'll see. Alrighty, so let's go back. Oh, Brian Hollywood, thank you so much for the $20. I really appreciate that. He says, what do you think will be the next $1,000 coin? Also, what are your top 2 guesses for the next 10x coins? Yeah, that's a tough one. So I'm not a super big crypto investor. I'm much more into mining. I'm starting to kind of dabble a little bit more into investing into, you know, proof of stake coins and things like that. So I am pretty high on Cardano. I'm interested in Avalanche and Solano. But will they be 10x? The tough part with trying to figure out what the next 10x coin is going to be, every coin you think, oh wow, it's got a lot of possibility to it and looks great. Well, the problem is it already has gone up so far as percentage. Will it continue to grow at that rate? That's the tough part. So yeah, I really don't know. And usually the ones that are the huge growers are the ones that not so many people have heard about. So I don't know. I've definitely been putting a little bit more effort into Raptorium, but I don't tell anybody because I don't want to attract everybody back to mining it again. It's not super profitable, but it's profitable. I'd say it's kind of like where I expect GPUs profitability to be by like the end of the year is what I'm thinking. It'll be a little bit profitable, but not a ton. And that's kind of where Raptorium is. But I do like the fact that they have staking, and I've been taking advantage of inodes by putting all my Raptorium in there. And they have a nice return over there of about 44% APR. So don't know if that will last forever, but right now it looks pretty nice. So I'm taking advantage of that. Flux I find very interesting. Started dabbling in that a little bit. I like the idea of running a Flux node. There's some really interesting things coming along for Flux. They're going to minimize or move down the requirement for its lowest node very soon. I don't know what the actual effective date is, but it'll be 1,000 Flux instead of 10,000 Flux. So that'll definitely bring in a lot more people willing to run a node. And then even more interesting is they're saying in the second quarter, they're going to create another tier of nodes down to just five Flux. And that node could be run off of a Raspberry Pi, which I find very interesting. So, oh, I'm sorry, as Chump Change would say, Raspberry Pi. So, and he's not even here to defend himself. Shame on him. Anyway, so I found that very interesting. So looking to see maybe about running a small little Flux node, or maybe a couple of them this summer when they do get to that point. Now, I only have one graphics card mining Flux. So I'm hoping to eventually get to 1,000 Flux, either by taking and selling some other crypto and buying some. So I don't know. I'm very interested in trying to run a Flux node out of a computer at home. And I haven't really figured out exactly what I'm going to do that, but I'm thinking about doing that. And our internet, knock on Formica, has been really very reliable. I know that there are some consequences if you lose internet connection. I think you have to stay at least 97% up. Otherwise, there are penalties. But again, don't quote me on that. That was my understanding, because they need their nodes to be reliable. That's why a lot of people will go to virtual private servers, VPSs, to run their nodes. But I like the idea of having it be decentralized. So anyway, very interesting things happening with Flux, as well as the proof of useful work, which I'm really kind of curious about. I don't believe that exists quite yet. They've been talking about it for a while, but this is where some of your computing power will not just be to run the blockchain, but will also go towards things like folding at home and other distributed computing platforms. So anyway, very interesting. All right, let me see if there were any other questions that I missed. Mike R, my plan is to watch Misfit Miners and see what everyone else is doing. Yeah, I mean, we'll continue to talk about this, that's for sure. And I mean, I am pretty darn excited for when the merge actually happens to see what will actually occur. How quickly will the hash rate adjust? If you look at Ravencoin. Ravencoin's a great example of a blockchain and a hash rate for a blockchain that adjusted extremely quickly. It went from around upper 8 terahash down to like less than 6 within a few days. And that's really, really quick to adjust. So basically it went from being down in the dumps on the what to mine charts and now has come back up, where it's being somewhat competitive as being a really profitable coin again. And now that the halving's done, if you think about how long it takes how long it had taken Bitcoin after a halving to start going up in price, it'll probably be a little while before Ravencoin sees that. But yeah, now I'm kind of like, yeah, I think I'll hold on to my bag and see if it actually goes up in about a month or two. So anyway, those are kind of my thoughts on that. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. Oh, Big Wooly. Speaking of Cardano, is now the time to talk about the poll? Sure. Wow, only 63% said Cardano. Yeah, so last time I checked, Avalanche went down this week. I haven't even looked at Solano. Bitcoin, I know, didn't go up. Who 6% said that was went up 40%? Anyway, yes, it was Cardano that went up 40% this week. So what is happening with Cardano? All right, and I am going to remember to change my screen. So in December, SundaeSwap actually did a beta test for smart contracts on Cardano. And now they are rolling out a full implementation on Cardano. So there's a lot of special things that are happening with that. So they're rolling out their decentralized exchange. And on top of that, if you take your Cardano and stake it at a number of qualifying ISO scoopers, which are staking pools that have got themselves qualified for this, there will be 5 ISO rounds. So basically airdrops, as I understand it. And those airdrops will be January 25th, January 30th, February 4th, February 9th, and February 14th. So every 5 days starting on January 25th. So if you have some Cardano, I think it might be a good idea to stake it at one of these pools. So here are the list of eligible pools. In fact, hold on a second. I need to refresh this because I believe they made some notes. So maybe they didn't, or did they? Oh, maybe it was a different article that made the notes. Anyway, I know Crypto Capital Venture is one of the YouTubers that I watch, and he has a number of staking pools. And so he's got CCV 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he's got a total of 5. But not CCV 5, which is a complete scam pool. Don't go there. But anyway, he's been talking about this. And so if you do stake at one of these pools, you will be eligible for those. So I do plan on taking at least a portion of my Cardano and actually staking it at one of these pools. So I started looking into how do you stake? And there is a, shoot, I thought I had that tab up. That must have been before. It's Yoishi or something. Yoishi, I believe, is the actual. Here, let me end the poll. Is the actual one of the actual official wallets of Cardano. And if you stake there, it's just very, very easy to. If you put your Cardano there, it's very, very easy to stake from that wallet. So there was a video that I watched where it walked people through that. And so I will be actually moving at least a portion, if not all, of my Cardano to that wallet, and then staking from there to participate in the airdrops. There's a number of other ways to also take advantage of this. The other ones I won't be taking advantage of though. So anyway, but go ahead and read the article when you get a chance. It's under SundaeSwap Labs. I'll definitely have links to all this in the description after the live stream is over, but definitely found this interesting and exciting. So this is a big reason why we've seen this run up in Cardano. And in fact, let me bring up, there it is. Bring it over here. So here's the Cardano chart for 24 hours, but here's the 70. So basically it was down at $1. Well, when I started the stream 7 weeks ago, it was at $1.14 and it was at $1.61 when I ran it. Now it's at $1. Oh, it still is $1.61. So anyway, so it's definitely doing well over the last 7 days, no question. And I anticipate that this trend will continue all the way through all of the drops. So yeah, definitely very interested. Might just put it into the staking pools, take advantage of the airdrops and pull out before I even take advantage of the rewards of the staking pools, because it does take a little bit of time for that. Because I kind of think anytime you see these airdrops that are promised, what tends to happen is people want to take advantage of the airdrops. When the airdrops are done, people dump. So obviously that usually happens in smaller coins. So maybe in this case they won't, because the underlying technology will still be there, which is really good for Cardano. So I'm a big believer in Cardano. I think it's going to do well in the long term, but in the short term, I see it going up. As soon as all the airdrops are done, I see it coming back down. And then after that, who knows? I would expect it to go back up. I think it's going to go back up, but can't say for sure. So did I just do what I think I just did? Moved over there and I'm still on my, oh no, good. I did have it on the right screen. Okay. What else did I say I was going to talk about tonight? I said, oh, what are you mining? So let me go back here, and definitely would love to hear what people are mining right now. I mean, obviously, of course, people are mining Ethereum. That goes without saying. Everybody's mining at least somewhat mining Ethereum, no question. So before I go too far into that, so K-Spec actually asks, how's the weather there? We got so much snow up here that some people were stuck on the Highway 401 for 8 hours. Wow. No, we got barely any. Yeah, I mean, it's just a dusting, if that. It was nothing big, but wow, 16 to 20 inches. Yeah, but if I remember correctly, K-Spec, you live in a place that you expect to get a lot of snow. I mean, people think of like the upper Midwest, well, Chicago area. Oh yeah, you guys get a lot of snow. Some years we do, but on average, we get about 30 inches. That's it. It's not a lot. So yeah, that's why I can never figure out why everybody's like, I got to get a snowblower. Don't really have that many snows that where we would need a snowblower. So K-Spec says he's mining ETH to BTC. Raptorium only got 11 GPUs. RTM. Right at the moment? Or Raptorium. Anyway. But yeah, I'm actually mining ETH to BTC using 2 miners. That's where most of my hash rate is. I have a little bit on Ergo. And I have a little bit on Flux, and really kind of wondering whether or not I might move more to Flux. But my biggest problem right now is power, because I've pretty much maxed out my power on my 30 amp circuit. So it would be very, very difficult for me to move things to Flux, since it takes a lot more power. You know, not necessarily Ravencoin power, but it does take considerable amount of more power. So I am probably going to be getting rid of a few GPUs that are less versatile, shall we say, as well as more power hungry, to make room for putting a few cards on Flux. So we'll see about that though. Oh, you're in Toronto. Well, you get a lot of lake effect snow being in Toronto, I would guess. Being on the west side of Lake Michigan, we really don't get much lake effect snow unless the wind is blowing from the east, which doesn't happen very often. So, or from the northeast. So it's rare that we get lake effect snow all the way out in the suburbs. Chicago occasionally does, but even so, not a lot. My daughter says, just get more power efficient 5 head. Not sure what she means, but okay. Yeah, there's 15 amps in the bathroom. Yes, actually take that back. A lot of times there's 20 amp circuits in the bathroom. So like in our bathroom in the basement, I do have a 20 amp circuit that I could use. And I was using that before, but I like to stay 220 if at all possible. So yes, I could do that. I could move one of my rigs onto the 20 amp circuit. That's not a horrible idea. Just want to make sure I get a little bit better extension cord than I had before, because I had what I thought was a heavy duty extension cord. And let's just say that I was maxing out my 15 amp circuit down there in, the 20 amp circuit. And so it was at, 15 amps or so. It wasn't completely maxed out, but that extension cord, darn it, it was hot, very hot. So yeah, I would definitely want to make sure that I had a lower gauge, higher gauge, a lower number gauge of an extension cord to make sure that it could handle that. So Brian Hollywood, dining room outlets should be 20 amp also. Well, ours are not. Ours are only 15 amps. So yeah, we do not have 20 amps. The only places we have 20 amps are any of the GFCI outlets in the house. So yeah. I'm mining, Nasity says, I'm mining from an Airbnb until my home is done. Free electric. Wow. I'm guessing that probably is a Airbnb where the host doesn't stay with you, so has no idea, and will have no idea until you're probably long gone. Wow. Please give that host a little bit of a tip. Anyway, yeah, I know using a shorter cord would definitely help. But that running it from the bathroom, it's going to be at least a 10-foot run from where I'm going to have my rigs. So yeah, it'll be a little ways, no question. And then the other part of it is having a power strip. I guess I could get a smaller PDU. That would be like a 20 amp PDU for 110. I could definitely do that to make sure it could handle the power. So instead of using like a power strip, which those things will light on fire. Alrighty, but yeah, so Flux is the one thing I'm a bit interested in. I'll obviously keep track to see what changes. You never know when Firo is going to become more profitable. Don't know when Ravencoin might become more profitable again. And of course, being that those have much lower amounts of hash rate, they're much quicker to adjust as far as profitability. I remember Ergo was going between like 20 terahash, I think, or is it 20? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 20 terahash up to like 45 gigahash, 25 terahash. And obviously when it would go up, the profitability would drop. And so people would get off of it, and then the profitability would go back up, and then people would go back on it. So there was this wave until the price dropped out of it and it just wasn't as profitable. So anyway, yeah, K-Spec tip, don't rent Airbnb to crypto miners, or at least monitor what they're bringing in the house. Of course, Na City might have been bringing it in piece by piece by piece and not making it obvious that he was building a rig in the house. So, but I guess the other thing is to have cameras in the house to make sure, at least in the common areas. Anyway, I am not on Toncoin. Honestly, I'm not really that interested. The thing that I read about it basically said this is a short-term play, that there's this amount that's going to be mined and then will be gone. And a lot of it already has been mined. So I don't know. That was a little bit I read about it. And once I read that, I was pretty much disinterested. So no, I'm not doing Toncoin. Not to say that I won't ever do Toncoin, but for now, definitely not doing Toncoin. Let's see. So yeah, share with me what you are mining. Bacon and Eggs and Hash says Ergo and Flux. I'm thinking about when ETH ends. Yeah, those are kind of my two favorite right now. I think they both have a bright future. Ergo basically hitching its wagons to Cardano, and Flux just being a really cool project. Yeah, and I think they got a lot of good people working on the project, and they just have a lot of involvement from the community between the nodes and the mining. I just think it's a really cool project. Yeah, not very cheap though. Yeah, 20 amp power strips. It's pretty much a 20 amp PDU. They're not super cheap, but yeah, I could get one. Anyway, I'm not really going to expand a whole heck of a lot. I'm not really going to expand at all right now. So yeah, we'll see. I will see if I can make it work with the power that I have and the what I have going on, and then go from there. But I appreciate the idea. It's not a bad idea. I'm actually going to be moving all of my rigs eventually onto one 4-foot wide rack, 6-foot high, wire rack, so that it won't be all over the basement. It'll be much more organized. I'm actually going to cable manage it. Well, let me correct that. Sunflower Mama will probably do the majority of the cable managing, because she'll like push me out of the way and say, let me do it. So anyway, am I wrong, Sunflower Mama? Anyway, I am on Top Chat. I know I'm supposed to be on live chat and I always forget. Who am I missing? Let's see here. It looks pretty much the same, I think. I'm scrolling back up to see if I missed any people that tagged me. Yeah, everybody that tagged me, it looks like I had theirs. All right. Alrighty, so now I'm on the right chat. So Muramets, I converted one of my circuits from 120 volt to 240 volt at the panel and gained more wattage this way. Amperage stayed within the wire spec, running less than 80%. So yeah, what I ended up doing was I actually put in a 30 amp 220 volt, 240 volt circuit. Is actually 240 volt because I have a power meter down there, and it's been running great. And so, yeah, I've got about 5,700 watts running through it, and it's been working great. I had actually met somebody through our contractor at work and said, hey, you want to do some work on the side? And he said, yeah, what are you trying to do? And told him what my plans were. And he was like, sure. So for like less than $300, I had a 240 volt outlet right below my my panel in the wall. So it still looks nice and pretty down there, and it's worked out great. Let's see here. Who else has tagged me? Yeah. My daughter says, no, you'll end up asking her to do it. Yeah, it's probably not far from the truth. You are not wrong. Yes. All right. Ahmed Ali. Looking at the profitability of coins, different GPUs behave better or worse on certain algos, but the general thought is the same. However, temps and stress are different. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what your point is. I'm not sure if so yeah, when I'm talking about Flux, yeah, I'm specifically talking about mainly 3000, NVIDIA 3000 series cards. So yeah, like for instance, on my 3070, I can run that 3070 at about 135, 140 watts mining Ethereum if it works, which this 3070 I have is so LHR, which is why I put it on Flux, because there's no LHR. So that runs at about 215 watts, making 70 souls, 70 souls per minute. So or 70 souls per second. Yeah, 70 souls per second. Anyway, it does really well, but it pulls more power. Obviously I could lower the power and make it more efficient, but it won't mine as many souls. So it's, yeah, upstairs with where this 3070 is. For me, it made more sense to run it at higher power because I wanted it to heat the main floor of the house. So it was kind of twofold. It got a much higher hash rate as well as creating a little bit more heat. So, yeah, Big Wooly, I was very lucky. There was one slot on the bottom and I thought there was one slot at the top. So I figured all we'd have to do is redo a few locations and then we'd have the 2 slots in the bottom that I needed. That wasn't really the case. We actually had to combine another circuit where this would have been about 15 years ago. We had made a separate circuit for outside the front of our house so we could have a lot of lights. Well, that was back when incandescents were what you used outside. Now that we use LEDs, that doesn't use a lot of power outside now. So yeah, we're fine. We were able to recombine that circuit with the living room. And now we had the extra circuit that we needed in order to get the two pole that we needed in order to get the 30 amp breaker in there. So yeah, it worked out. Yeah, we did not have to put in a new panel. We actually had a new panel put in when we finished our basement. So we had a big panel as it was, but we didn't upgrade our service at that point because we didn't need to. So at some point I might think about upgrading my service, but like I said, that is a conversation for after the merge when we figure out what's going on there. And then we'll decide whether or not we may build a shed, or upgrade 200 amp service in the house. We'll have to figure something out. So we'll see. Max hash rate. What kind of memory temps do you see on Flux? Considering I'm running a 3070 Ti on, on Flux, so a 3070 in Windows will not show memory temps. It will show, and I don't have it running right now because I'm not mining. And oh, by the way, important note, I did restart my computer before this stream. Not saying that doesn't mean I won't have technical difficulties, but I did restart my computer. So hopefully that means this will keep running. Anyway, yeah, I don't see any memory temps. I have gone into, because I have an EVGA card. So I have gone into EVGA Precision and looked at the temps there and they look perfectly fine. There's nothing greater than like 70 something on the memory or anywhere around the memory. Cause they do have some spots. It's not strictly the memory temperature. It's like memory spots around the memory or temperature spots around the memory. So anyway, point being is I've looked at the temps. It was nothing earth shattering at all, but Flux is not known to be a super hard on memory. In fact, I was watching a video the other day. I think it might've been Seb, might've been somebody else. Not sure. But anyway, they were talking about that once you get into cards that have GDDR6X, you can actually downclock the memory. It doesn't help at that point. The memory is already so fast that it doesn't really help to increase the memory speed. So I don't know that from firsthand knowledge. I'm going by what somebody else said. So take that for what it's worth. But on my cards, the temperatures have been fine. Have not been a problem at all. But again, Flux only 3070 at this point, and I haven't tried it on anything else. Let's see if there were any. Yeah, Flux is like an all-around. It's a little bit more core dependent than, say, like a Ravencoin, which is more of an all-around from my understanding. So yeah, but it is a fairly all-around. I know on my 3070, I do run the memory at 1300 on Windows. So yeah, it's on GDDR6. It's important to overclock the memory to get the best hash rate. On GDDR6X, not as much because there's more bandwidth, I guess, and more speed. Alrighty. Yeah, I can check it GPU-Z in Windows, but GPU-Z will only show it if it's GDDR6X. It does not show the actual memory temperatures, at least from what I've seen. It does show another temperature, but it's not the memory temperature. It's like a spot temperature. I wish I could remember what I saw. I looked at it when they came out with it for the GDDR6X, and I'm like, oh, cool. No, it's not. It's something else. But it's like a hot spot on the board or something to that effect, because they have a number of temperature sensors on the actual PCB. So, which should give a good indication if your memory's heating up, but it isn't the actual memory temperature of the VRAM. So yeah, ARCs, yeah, it's a hot spot. Exactly. So it gives you an indication if it's heating up. I have not had any trouble with it heating up much beyond, it's like 10 degrees hotter than the core. And my cores normally run somewhere, maybe 15, but my core I usually have set like at 55 to have the fans regulate so that it doesn't get any hotter than 55 degrees Celsius. So, alrighty, let's see. What else did I want to talk about? I guess now, what other questions do you guys have to ask? Anything. Does anybody know what that was a reference to? Bueller. Everybody gets quiet now that I put everybody on the spot. Well, I do appreciate everybody showing up. 36 people I see. At least it looks that way. If I missed any live chats, I apologize. I am going to scroll up and see if I can see any of them. I know the last one I thanked was Brian Hollywood. Yeah, it's not going to go up any higher than that. So anyway, thanks again for anybody that did a super chat. I do very, very much appreciate it. Thoughts on Awesome Miner? I know Serpent Tech, Serpent X. I think they goes by Serpent X Tech now. He does a lot with it, as well as Red Fox Crypto likes Awesome Miner quite a bit. And yeah, it's a good product. It's just not something I have used as of yet. I was thinking about using it, and I was kind of like, why? For me, if it's gonna run on a separate rig, I want it to run on Linux, not on Windows. So for me, Hive OS is what I want to run. I am going to get mine down to being only 4 rigs instead of being 5. So that should lower my cost a bit. So anyway, we'll see. But yeah, it's a good product. It just isn't for me. All right. Well, hey, SlickNick87, hello to you as well. SlickNick87, you are not my neighbor, are you? I have a neighbor named Nick, but I believe he has a different, actually, yeah, I think he has a different YouTube name, I think. But if he chimes back up, hopefully he'll tell me if he is my neighbor. Casespec, I might have missed it, but are you hodling most of your coin? So it's more complicated than that. I don't hodl all my coin, but when I cash out, I usually cash out a significant portion. So what I will do is I will find a point at which I am comfortable cashing out a little bit of coin to say, okay, I've been hodling up to this point. I haven't paid for my, I paid for my power, but I like to have my business self-fund itself. I don't want to be using funds from my paycheck to fund my mining operation. So there will be times, sorry, hit the microphone. There will be times that I will go a period of time where I will fund it, but then I will get a good point at which I can cash out. And then I'll be like, okay, how much do I want to cash out? Okay, I needed to pay for these 3 or 4 months, put my account back where I want it to be, because it costs that much to do it. Because basically my power bill is about $500 a month. So not huge. It's not a big deal. But like I said, I want to be able to say that I'm funding my mining out of my profits. So yes, I'm not hodling everything. I would say on average, I'm probably hodling about 75% is about what I'm hodling, but it's not like, Red Fox has talked about that every single week he cashes out a certain percentage. And I don't remember if it was, it was 45%, 50%. Anyway, there was some percentage that he was cashing out every single week. I don't do it that way. If market's heading down, I don't cash out. I wait until it comes back. So that's basically how I've been doing things. Alrighty, let's, Ahmed Ali, I got one question. The RTX A2000, any idea where and what are the fans used? I have a few of them, just preparing because I run them at 100% at all times. I have no idea. I don't have any A2000s. I don't have any plans to get any A2000s. Really, the A2000s are the ultimate long-term play. If you are saying, I am 150% in no matter what, I want to have the absolute most efficient card to mine with, that's the A2000. The issue, though, is keeping them cool. And that's where I kind of like, ugh, in the summer, it's going to be brutal. Right now, it's not so bad because it's winter and yeah, you can cool those cards, but that's my worry with those blow style cards and running them at, at any significant hash rate. So yeah, I'm staying away from them at this point. So I just really have no idea on that. Let's see if there was any other questions here. Now, City Max, you don't think with all these POW coins, there's not enough hash rate for everyone once they leave ETH? No, there isn't. There isn't. If you take all of the non-ETH algorithms, the top 20 coins that are non-ETH algorithms, because remember, all the ASICs are going to go to the other ETH algorithms to mine because they can't go anywhere else. So you might as well forget any of the ETH algorithms because they will be completely flooded. So all the non-ETH algorithms, if you take the Ethereum hash rate and all the other hash rate and say all of that put together is 100% hash rate, Ethereum owns when I did this about 3 weeks ago, own 94% of the entire effective hash rate. So yeah, the rest of the mining is like a drop in the bucket. It just isn't anywhere near enough capitalized value. They're not big enough projects. They're just not in order to take all of that hash rate. So now, like I said, could things change in the next 6 months? Yeah, this is crypto. Lots of things change. Perfect example is when we went 1559 and we had the big hoopla in the first 3 months of the year. And then when they went to go 1559, what happened? The gas fees came down. They were like so small. And so miners were like, oh, we kind of feel what 1559 is before we even get to 1559. Could that happen in crypto? I suppose it could. God, I hope not. I'd like to be able to take advantage of the profits as long as I can. But we could go that direction, or hey, Flux and Ravencoin and Firo and all these other coins take off. It's really going to take an overall increase in market value to really make it realistic that they would be able to absorb the Ethereum hash rate. The other part of it is that when is the Ethereum hash rate going to stop growing? It's still growing. And this is why I'm trying to get the word out, is really think about if you're going to buy more GPUs, because odds are at this point, you're not going to be able to break even with them. It's like 5-6 months away, and the profitability's come down a bit. And you still might be able to if the price of Ethereum goes up, but with where things are right now, not going to break even before the merge, or at least before where the proposed merge is right now, which is June. I know that it's interesting that I heard about an interview with Vitalik, and he said that that it was going to definitely be before July. I'm like, well, June is before July, so I don't know if he meant in July or before July. Anyway, bottom line is middle of the year. This is when it is going to happen. The specification's almost done. So I will be bringing more information regarding the merge and status of the merge and, all of that. I will be hopefully having a conversation with Tim Bako. Looking forward to that. So that'll be in a couple weeks, hopefully after the specification is done. So anyway, let me see. Ahmed Ali, haha, don't worry about that. I'm in the middle of the desert, Dubai. So yeah, I'm using AC to cool those. Yeah, that's the thing is, yeah, you're profitable now, but when this goes to the merge, you'll probably be one of the first people, although it all depends on what the cost of electricity is for you. I'm not going to make any assumptions as to what the cost of electricity is in the middle of the desert. All right. Let me see. That's what she said. I'm not sure what I said, but okay. Yeah. And actually, 2 miners hit 2 really big blocks, this past week, which was pretty nice. I saw a nice, payback, when that happened. So that was pretty nice. All right, Big Wooly, have a good night. Arx Crypto, it's really bad for coverage where I am. There is a larger city 35 miles away that has a few. Oh, okay. So you're talking about helium again. Yeah, it's really pretty interesting because things can change very rapidly with helium mining. So when I first started mining helium, I was making like a half a helium a day. It was really, really high. Now I'm down to averaging about 0.2 a day. Still good, not complaining. But what I find interesting is that fellow crypto YouTuber, let's just say that I discouraged him from buying one. And now, lately, like today, he was at almost 0.4 for the day. And if you look at his area and where he is, you would have never guessed it. But I will say kudos to him. He actually put it high up on his roof, which helped tremendously. So he took a lot of time and effort to put his antenna in the best possible location. So anyway, I have not done that. I have mine in a second floor window. So it's doing well, but it's not doing as well as his is now. Now, he also has a transmit scale of 1, while my transmit scale is only 0.63, but I have a lot more units around me, so it should be, anyway, there's a lot of things that go into how much you make on helium, and that is for a different day. All right, I did see a couple questions here. I just got to find them. Oh, yeah. Bacon, Eggs, and Hash said, I saw that too, Max. I'm on 2 miners right now also. Yeah, it was nice. Nice to see. I had to go look to see why all of a sudden the payout was higher. And And so then I went back to look at, like, kept going 3 hours, and then I finally found it. I wonder if I buy one, put it up, if it would entice others looking at map near me to actually get one too. Yes, except they're really hard to get. So it's not like it's going to be an immediate thing. It's interesting because, like, the area around where my daughter goes to school, I was kind of like, it's not a really great area. There aren't that many around. Well, now there are a lot more popping up. So now I'm thinking about putting one there. So yes, that does attract. When an area has a few more of them, it does attract more. Excuse me. All right. So please tag me if you have questions. I'm trying to grab them all. Hi, Max. Do you use HiveOS or AMD for AMD rigs? I use HiveOS for AMD rigs. Absolutely. AMD rigs are where you absolutely need HiveOS, because depending on the card, they can be really finicky. And what I mean by finicky I mean crash. And at least with HiveOS, it's going to restart automatically. So this is what got me to switch to HiveOS. I built my first rig. I had it on Windows. The thing absolutely drove me nuts. It would crash all the time. I'd get a security update. So now the miner wasn't up. I mean, I built this thing to make some money, and it was down way more than it should have been. And I kept hearing from everybody, put it on HiveOS, put it on HiveOS. And I was like, oh, so I finally, it was like resistance is futile. Fine. I will put it on HiveOS. It won't cost me anything to have one on there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night having a nightmare because I got to go down and check my rig to see if it's down. It's just up. Now, you'll see the crashes if there's crashes with HiveOS. So it doesn't necessarily, it does run more stable with Linux, but it doesn't stop if you are pushing your overclocks too far. But you can look at the history while this thing has rebooted and has gone back up. You can look at the history and say, okay, fine. Now I need to adjust my clocks. You adjust the clocks, you look to see how it does, but it will keep mining. It just will have small time frames where it will have to take time to restart. So when I first started, I had I did it via a flash, USB flash. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is taking way too long for this thing to reboot. So that's when I switched it to an SSD. So actually on that particular rig, I have a Windows SSD and a Hive SSD on that rig. So I could actually switch it back over to Windows if I wanted to, but I don't want to. With NVIDIA, they do run a lot more stable. You do run into some of the Windows quirks of where it could run for like 21 days and then there's some update and it causes something to happen. My basement computer probably stops mining less than once a month. It just runs, and it's Windows and it has a 3060. And the reason why I have that one specifically on Windows is because it does have one of the version 1 3060s with the beta display driver. So I have two of those actually. My wife's computer has that same type of setup. So anyway, hopefully that tells you a little bit about that. So Gabriel Campa, would you invest in Bitcoin ASIC miners if given the chance, and wait and see for ETH 2.0 before buying more GPUs? That's a very interesting question. Certainly for the right price, absolutely. But the key thing is, where are you going to put it? Are you going to put that in your house and have it just create all kinds of noise? That's the problem. So yeah, would I consider it? Yeah. If the prices got better for them, yes, I would consider it. And if I was going to have a shed. So yeah, I would just say, know yourself, know what you're getting yourself into when you have an ASIC miner, because they do tend to be very loud. There are specific ones that aren't, and that's kind of interesting. you know, that they are starting to figure out, oh, wait a minute, there's a market for home Bitcoin miners, or at least home ASIC miners, not necessarily Bitcoin. So obviously the mini Doge miners, from what I understand, are pretty quiet. So anyway, that's where I'm, yes, Atomic Star. Yes, I might put one there for 4 months if I was able to get one just for fun. But it might be a little bit more trouble than it's worth. All right, let's see. Well, it wouldn't be useless. You put it somewhere else. I already know where else I'd put it. Some other relatives' houses. But anyway, anyway. And yes, we would be able to sell it just fine after that. No question. Let's see if there are any other questions here. Thank you, RJ. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, Linux is way better than any Microsoft product. Yes, it has its issues as far as usability, but it continues to make progress. If you're interested in seeing some people that are obviously very familiar with computers and seeing how they do when they try to run their main machines off of Linux, Linus Tech Tips actually had the two guys on the WAN show, and I forget what the other guy's name is, but it was Linus and the other guy that's on the WAN show. They both did a competition of trying to run everything that they do on a day-to-day basis off of only Linux for an entire month, including gaming. So it was pretty interesting. It was by far not perfect. And there's just so many options that you're not really sure what the best option is, the best setup. So, I mean, it's fun to tinker. For miners, yeah, Linux is pretty interesting because, yeah, I don't know about you, but I like to tinker. I just haven't found the time. My energy's been towards mining at this point. All right. Yes, they are very power hungry, and I would have to, if I was going to have a Bitcoin ASIC, it would replace things, not be an addition to what I currently have. Obviously, after the merge, if I decided to do the shed with more power, yeah, that's a totally different story. D miners, hey, that's my sleeping noise. Yeah, one person's sleeping noise is another person's annoyance. You know, like I said, you need to know yourself. Does it make sense for your life, for the others in your life? So yes, that is the issue. Well, I'm going to call it. It's almost been an hour and a half. I appreciate everybody for showing up. You guys have been great. And don't forget to tell your friends about Mondays with Max. If you like this kind of content, please hit the like button on your way out, as well as clicking subscribe. And again, please tell your friends about it. More the merrier. And again, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And you guys all have a great night.